You're listening to the second edition of the Underhook Show. My name is Steve, alongside with Chris. We're here to talk about some wrestling in what was a very eventful week. Chris, how you feeling? Thanks for being here.
Good as always, brother. I'm 6 feet up, not 6 feet down. So let's talk about some wrestling.
Hell yeah, dude, hell yeah. So this is gonna be a pretty AEW heavy episode with in light of the pay-per-view as well as TV last night. Did you want to discuss anything else outside of that before we jumped into the big show?
No, we could just jump right in. I think we have a lot to cover today.
Well, I will say before we do that, before we get into Revolution, I should say, I did go back and watch some stuff from Collision because, as we established last week, I don't do a very good job of keeping up with that. But the card looked interesting enough for me to parachute in. I watched the Deeb Momo match and the Garcia Moriarty match, which I thought was very good. Um, so I'd say if you did have time, those two are worth checking out, especially that TNT title match, which I was a little upset wasn't on the pay-per-view.
Yeah, we talked about that last week in our episode that the TNT Championship was should have been on the pay per view. It wasn't, but nonetheless, still got showcased. But I need to go back and check that out because I didn't watch it yet.
Yeah, no, I would highly recommend it. There's a lot of like scrappiness in the grappling. A lot of stuff was earned. Like they would tease some spots or for Garcia to pull it off. Moriarty would cut him off, and then eventually they'd build back to it, which I thought was really cool. And I wish they did some more of that stuff. But it's just more of a thing to me where it's like, man, I just wish Garcia was more featured. Wish he was on this show in a more prominent role. But would highly recommend those. Other than that, March 9th, Sunday, Staples Center, whatever the hell it's called now, AEW Revolution. Did you watch anything from the pre-show?
I saw the Big Boom, uh, 6 man, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or was it a 6 man or a tag? I couldn't remember. But I saw highlights of that. But I didn't watch anything from the pre-show fully yet.
Sure, sure. It was like standard fare. I usually keep the pre-show on while I'm getting my food ready, getting my beers cold, getting all
Fair.
spread ready. Uh, I did watch the Undisputed Era and Garcia, or Undisputed Kingdom and Garcia versus Shane Taylor Promotions, which was a really fun match. I wouldn't say it's anything like essential viewing, but that was really good. I feel like it's more of like the core Collision guys at the moment. And Shane Taylor Promotions, they're doing a lot of good work, pretty underrated group, all things considered. But the Big Boom AJ, Orange Cassidy, Mark Briscoe versus MXN Collection and Johnny TV was just as fun as you would want it to be. It was like the perfect amount of bullshit. I say that affectionately, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
uh I actually that's the only clips I seen of that was through the internet, and I got to see the little kid power bomb somebody, or yeah, he hit the power bomb, and that was the biggest clip. I need to go back and watch that. I think just enjoy it because I'm all on the Big Boom train. We
Yeah, we established last week we are tapped in with the Costco guys.
and the Rizzler coming out as Orange Cassidy sold me.
Oh yeah, that too. I didn't take notes on this or anything, so I'm kind of
Oh, yeah, I'm
freewheeling.
freestyling this one.
Yeah, yeah, because I mean you didn't see the match. Um, it was just so much fun. MXN were stooging as we thought they were. Johnny TV was bumping like a madman, and just everything worked, like building to different hot tags. They did a spot with a double chunk chocolate cookie, which I mean, yeah, it was ridiculous. It was over the top. I know the Costco guys aren't everyone's cup of tea, but in the name of just some good old fashioned pro wrestling bullshit, it was hard for me to not love.
Yeah, I don't know if you hate any of that. You're just something like you're just looking for something to not like at that point
Fair enough.
because
And
it was enjoyable for what it was, and it popped the crowd, and hey, it was cool. I liked it, man.
it's just a feel good match to get things going. I would even stretch to say that you could have used this in a cool down spot on the card, but I'm not going to complain for what we got. And technically, you got this match for free. This was on YouTube, so you could do a lot worse than that. So if you want to get right into the thick of things with the opener of AEW Revolution, Hangman's old music played, only for the scarf to fall, the Burberry scarf. And we open with MJF versus Hangman Adam Page, or Haircut Adam Page in this case.
He had a
Chris, what are
sweet
your thoughts
biz.
on this one?
He had a sweet pompadour. Uh, I'm waiting. It was a good filler. It was a good match to give us a final blow off like that. We're gonna get. I think we're gonna get something crazy because we'll get into it when it happens on Dynamite. But I mean, I enjoyed the match. I do have one question, and maybe you can help me. Is there a clause in MJF's contract that he has to open every pay per view?
I was thinking something along the same lines because this is the third one in at least 6 months, not 6 months. For off the top of my head, Forbidden Door All Out and this one. So in AEW's pay per view layout, pretty close together. It just seems like it's happening, if not like almost every other show. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I'm not like hating on it, but it was just funny. It's a little fun like thing to notice every time. But
Now that I think of it, it might actually be every other show. Let's see. Forbidden Door will go. So he opens Forbidden Door, does not open All In. Opens All Out, does not open Full Gear. Oh, he didn't open World's End, but
yeah.
regardless, it does feel like a lot, and I feel like it's a very safe spot for him.
Oh yeah, no, it's a good spot because he's gonna put on a good match regardless of who he's going against. He's gonna tell a great story. He's gonna get the crowd hot. He's gonna get over the heel, get the crowd going. So it's a good opener.
I'll kind of get into some things in this match. The one thing that felt very strange to me, though, and I know they did start throwing forearms, so it wasn't like, they like very slow lockup, like there was no heat behind it or anything. But what's strange to me was the go home in this show, or before this show, or the last thing we saw from this feud was MJF nearly lighting Adam Page on fire. And so for this to start hot and then kind of settle into more of your standard MJF fare, where it's more of just a lot of big moves. There was some arm targeting as well. It just felt the energy was a little bit strange to me, to where I feel like this match should have happened before that angle, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, I get what you're saying there in that aspect. It's still like I. It's hard for me to judge it because it was still a great match, but I get what you're saying. Like you should have been more. You try to set the guy on fire, and then it started off hot, fizzles out, and then to get the crowd back, you did the tombstone onto the chair. But then after that, it was just kind of your normal dynamite match to me, I guess you could say. But then, like, I'm waiting. I'm waiting. I feel like we're gonna get like a dog collar match, like CM Punk style of that nature.
Yeah, I think we're far from done with this feud. I can even see him doing three. I can
Because
see this. I can see this going well into the spring.
was this the first match or the second?
Of this current feud in 2025, this was their first match. I know that they interacted in that very first battle royal, which is why I believe this went on first too, because Tony Khan loves booking parallels like that. I will fact check if they had a singles match prior to this. They had the one singles match, Dynamite Thanksgiving Eve in 2019. So they were picking back up in that regard, but I do believe that it was intended for them to go first because of the Double or Nothing buy-in battle royal. And this is an old head take, but I thought doing that tombstone spot into the standing chair it felt like very strange that you would burn that spot so early. But again, that's more of a preference of taste. I did like a lot of this stuff though, especially early on where MJF really was leaning into his old heel self, clawing at the eyes, taking shortcuts. And then it did, like I said, settle into the more kind of just back and forth big move trading. Speaking of, he completely ate shit on that Angel's Wings.
Oh, that I rewound that a million times because I was like, how did he land? And I slowed it down. Oh, he did not tuck his head on that one, or I don't know what he was supposed to do there, but he didn't do it.
Dude, he landed square on his forehead. It was nasty. And there was a pretty long pause before Hangman went home. And I think that he was getting checked up on because there was no cameras on him. He didn't wind up for the buckshot. Like it was just kind of this weird pause.
Oh yeah, I noticed that too, and I thought he was concussed for sure.
I wouldn't be surprised if he got his bell rung on that because that looked disgusting. There was, well, I mean, we'll get to, I mean, up and down this card, but there was
Oh,
a few of
there's
the
a
more,
there's a certain spot that I think me and you are both gonna talk about.
dude. There's some near deaths on this show. It's crazy some of the shit that transpired. But regardless, I thought this was pretty good. I liked a lot of what they were doing. Like I said, especially in the first half of the match. I just think it was hard for me to shake, and not to start off on like a negative or anything. I wouldn't even consider this like a huge negative towards the match. It just felt like the events were almost out of order structurally, as far as it feels like I needed this match for the feud to reach the intensity of MJF wanting to light Hangman on fire.
Yeah, it. I get what you're saying, my friend.
Yeah, but pretty solid opener. I mean,
I will MJ. Like I said, MJF's gonna put on a good opener regardless. But uh, I get what you're saying. Though it's kind of a dud in a grudge match sense.
yeah, it definitely didn't feel like a grudge match, which I think there's more meat on the bone as far as these two go. Then carrying into the next match, TBS title match, Mercedes Moné successfully defends against Momo Watanabe in 18 minutes and 18 seconds. So, second match on this card pushing 20 minutes. Chris, how you feeling about this one?
Oh, this is the one where I was talking about. There's a certain spot in this match that I thoroughly enjoyed, and it was Momo kicking Mercedes dead in the throat, and then
Which apparently she bruised it.
oh, and yeah, and on Dynamite when she came out with that shiner on her chin. Whew. Yeah, that spot. But yeah, I think I talked about this last week. I enjoyed their last match, so I knew I was gonna enjoy this one, and it was, nothing like as much as Mercedes kind of gets shit on a lot. I mean, I like her matches. I'm
hmm
never gonna hate a Mercedes match. So
Yeah, I'm with you. I think she's still a really good big match wrestler. I think sometimes the TV matches can vary. Your mileage may vary.
yeah,
I
but
think the thing with
big
her,
money matches though, she's gonna put on.
yeah. Before we get into the X's and O's here, the thing with Mercedes is that something's definitely different about her presentation as far as, there's always the backstage pre-tapes and it feels like a lot of the promos are the same. And it follows that very heavily scripted cadence of, and when I do this, and then I do this is gonna happen. And then it's just, five catchphrases all in the same segment as well. So I could definitely get some of the fatigue, but yes, as a wrestler, especially on the big stage, uh, her hit rate's really good, I would say. To me, this one was no exception. I think my only problems off the top of my head is that the pacing on this one was a bit strange, especially coming after was essentially, you could round up to a 20-minute match. I think a couple of matches on this card followed these long, like if one long match follows another and they want to make it a slow burn to get the crowd back. But I don't know if that was necessarily the same or the correct decision. So instead of this being 19 minutes, I'm like, yo, if you cut 5 minutes off of this and just had these two, you know, just really go hard as they did, just condense it a little bit, trim the fat a little bit, could have got something more complete. I use the analogy with one of my friends of where this was like swinging a sledgehammer, where it took a long time for them to tee up maybe, but when they hit, it really hit. Like they were going nuts on some of these exchanges. Momo wasn't slapping leg a whole lot. Like she was really laying in with those kicks. And it felt like for some of the high spots, like, like the Meteorus on the apron and stuff, they really had to earn it, which I appreciate.
It was a very strong style match, and I'm a big strong style guy.
hmm
Just I was with it. I love seeing this. Like I said, big money Mercedes. I might not care for any, like you said, the TV stuff's kind of cut and dry, or copy and paste rather. And but her when it's in a big money match like this, she's gonna put on. So, and I will agree with the very heavily scripted. I noticed that when she first got there, when she couldn't really, you could tell when she couldn't cut it on air, like on live, like a live promo. she's used to having somebody write it out for her, but she's getting better in time. It's just it's still very cookie cutter to me.
Yeah, and the strange thing about that too is that I can't remember from which match it was, if it was the Momo match or the Hazuki match. Still got to get to the Hazuki match, but it was the your standard New Japan backstage pre-tape, or not pre-tape, just backstage interview, and hers felt so much more human than anything she's doing in the AEW pre-tapes. And I just have to ask myself and ask in general, why wouldn't you let her have more of these on television when she can clearly speak earnestly about what she's doing and it still comes off like convincing, like I believe it.
Yeah. Uh, I didn't see. I need to get to that other match you spoke of too. I didn't. I don't even think I've seen that match. The
It was I want to say it was in December, either late November or December. It was in the last New Japan of America show of
was it the Battle
2024.
of the Valley?
No,
No.
the one before that.
Okay.
Here, I
Resurgent?
got
No. Where's my
I got
note?
the
Yeah.
match guide pulled up
Yeah.
here.
I remember the card now. I just don't remember. I don't even think I've seen it. I'm very behind on New Japan, to be 1,000% honest.
It was Strong Style Evolved from December 12th.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm,
from Long Beach.
I'll go back and check that one out.
Yeah,
I've
she main
been
evented against Hazuki.
okay for sure. Definitely got to go back. I've probably seen highlights, but like I said, New Japan's very. I'm very far behind on that one.
Yeah, I'm making my way through November of 2024 as far as like everything in the world of wrestling. So I'm looking forward to getting
I,
to that though.
I did.
I heard some good things.
Yeah, I've seen some stuff on the internet that's been popping out. Like my man Shota out there killing it. I seen so
Yeah, bald Shota. Not New
bald
Japan.
Shota.
Yeah, New Japan. I think they've settled into a good groove. The Goto title win from recently is fantastic stuff. Tied in a lot of like heavy
Yeah,
real life things into it, which made the payoff all the more special. And just a lot of the young guys are clicking, like Yuya Uemura, Ryohei Oiwa
yeah.
coming back.
Gotta and then
Uh,
it was like 22 years in the making for
for
uh,
Goto,
yeah or something like that. 2022 something like that.
yeah, something along
Yeah,
those lines. It was a great match there. I would recommend that one when you're catching up.
hell yeah.
Next on the card for Revolution, Swerve Strickland defeats Ricochet in 1810. Um, I'll let you take the lead on this one because I do have some thoughts on this.
I'm sad that what I thought would happen didn't happen is gonna be my main thought on this one. Uh, I don't. I think, all honesty, this was just an okay match to me. It was just like a regular their match, their last match on the pay per view, or no, not on the pay per view, on Dynamite was better than this one in my opinion.
I'm with you on that, and I think there's a big reason for that. I just think there was too much shit going on while this match was happening. So obviously, like I think these two have good chemistry, and they did a bunch of cool stuff, like the vertebreaker on the announce table, and then the spot I was alluding to. We weren't alluding to the same thing.
Uh,
When the Death Valley driver out of the tope, like Swerve looked like he landed right on his neck.
oh yeah, I cringed so hard at that. I forgot about that spot now that you just mentioned it. Oh yeah, no, I was terrified.
And he ruptured his eardrum in this match. I don't know where, but I would say that I wouldn't be surprised if it happened there. I think that these two have good chemistry, and this definitely felt like the second of a trilogy. I don't think we're done here quite yet, even despite all the stuff on Dynamite that we'll get into. But there was too much going on where it was like they did tease the Nana turn that you got the wheels turning in my head. That didn't happen. Then it felt like there was too much focus on the road but not the wrestling, and then all of the celebrity stuff going on too. It just felt a little overbooked to me in that regard.
Yeah, it was very chaotic. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
but I agree because they are 1-1 now in an AEW ring. So I have a couple of thoughts, but we'll get into the when we'll get into those when we get into Dynamite though.
For sure, for sure. Yeah, like I thought a lot of this was pretty good. I like their chemistry, and quite frankly, I think this is one of my favorite Ricochet opponents in recent memory. But
I will, like we said, we alluded on it last week. Ricochet's doing his best work right now. Like
yeah,
his best heel work, his best everything is going on right now, and a lot of that has to do with his helping Swerve, but it's only gonna get better from there.
yeah, I would say definitely his best since being like a TV wrestler. I can't speak for all of his Dragon Gate and other independent stuff.
And we're not counting Prince Puma because that's a whole
Yeah,
different
yeah,
ball game.
right, yeah, no, 100%. But really high on Ricochet's stuff right now and his chemistry with Swerve. I just don't think they dialed in enough as far as letting them do their thing with all the other chaos surrounding the match. I think that took away from this quite a bit, but nothing outright terrible in my opinion.
Bad match, but it's something we haven't seen. You know what I'm saying? We've seen it before.
Right, right, right. That takes us to the Continental title match. Kazuchika Okada defends successfully against Brody King in 10 minutes and 56 seconds. I thought this was good for what it was. I just don't know if this was the one to take so much time away from.
Yeah, we knew, like we talked about it last week. He's the Brody King's the hometown boy, so they were gonna let him do it. He got get his spots in and shine, and yeah, it was okay. I honestly was in and out of this match a lot, of this one, uh, but I definitely tuned back in because Brody's one of my favorite wrestlers. But I'm glad. I'm always gonna tune in and be happy to see Brody King on pay per view, and he got to go against one of the best wrestlers alive. So shout out.
Thought he was awesome in this match, by the
Well,
way.
yeah. Oh,
Brody King.
wearing
He
pants though is weird, but
the pants was weird. I mean,
yeah.
yeah, that was definitely a curveball, but I mean, hey, fresh
No,
gear for the big show.
wasn't a bad look though. Just saying, wasn't
No,
bad.
no.
Very different.
Yeah, just not used to it. Fresh gear for the big show. Also coming out in the shiesty, grabbing the Be Harder sign. Again, shout out God's hate.
Hmm. I
He was presented though like a monster in this match, and felt like this felt like a G1 match to me.
I feel it's not out of the realm of possibility that Brody King could be in the G1. Just want to throw that out there. Like
I think that'd
it's
be
on.
cool.
He already said. I think it was when he got to wrestle at Wrestle Dream. Is that the one that was in Japan?
Dynasty, Wrestle
Dynasty.
Dynasty. Yeah.
Wrestle Dynasty. Uh, he said that was one of his achieving moments was to wrestle in Japan, and I was like, he had put him in the G1. Just do it one time. It'll be great.
I think he'd work very well in that environment. The Tokyo Dome match with David Finlay, I liked a whole lot.
I loved every bit of that match.
Yeah, that match was sick. So I wouldn't be opposed to him doing a tour in New Japan, absolutely. And plus, like his style in like a tournament setting suits him very well. As far as this one though, overall, really good for what it was. I just wish there was more of it.
Oh yeah, they've been pushing Brody a lot lately, especially like giving him the realm of I guess the leader, the main dog of the Hounds of Hell. I don't know, I don't know how to, but I'm excited to see what they keep doing with him.
No, I'm with you. It did feel kind of strange to me though that they positioned him as such, and then they were building up the team with him and Buddy, only to lose to Fletcher and Takeshita, and then they haven't taken another loss here. I would like to see just a little bit more consideration in building this unit, and especially him, because I think he is the centerpiece of those three.
Absolutely, yeah.
Hoping we get just a little bit more for him going forward. But like I said, for what this was, I liked it a whole lot. I just wish there was a little bit more considering everything, nearly everything else on this card got. If it didn't get as much time as exactly as much time as it needed, it got way too much time. So for this, it felt a little bit shorted, in my opinion.
Yeah, uh, every other match ran what like 20ish.
The next two are the two short. Okay, so this was the second shortest match on the
Okay.
show. The next two don't hit 15, and everything else after that's
And,
pushing 30.
and one of them with what? So sad to me. So I mean, I knew it was gonna happen, but God,
Yeah. So up next was the AEW World Tag Team Championship match. The Hurt Syndicate defended successfully against the Outrunners. Now, heading into this one, we basically laid it out to where we were both open to this match if it did one of the following. If it got the crowd behind the Outrunners long enough to where you built that drama of them maybe pulling off the upset. Or I came with the idea of I'm perfectly okay with these guys just getting killed in a couple of minutes and just, having Lashley and Shelton Benjamin look awesome. I don't think this did either of those.
This should have been on 0 Hour. And
Yeah,
swap this with the Big Boom match. Put that
sure.
there.
Yeah, no,
Because
100%.
at least that would have been more entertaining. Like if you're gonna, this is gonna be my one gripe here. Is if you're gonna build up the Outrunners, you're gonna show these vignettes, you're gonna do all of this, and then it just have a normal match. Nah, man. Sorry. Put on the pre-show and put Big Boom out here. Get the crowd hot. Keep the crowd hot.
Yeah, this
Or
felt very strange. I'll let you finish your thoughts. I'm
or
sorry.
even the TNT title match you could have threw on there. But I digress.
No, I'm with you. I tend to ask, like, who does this help? You know what I mean? Because the result was never really in doubt, and they didn't really do much to change that. So I'm just like, have the Hurt Syndicate go out there and just kill them in like 4 minutes max, or do something different.
Have
And
like the Outrunners hit their finisher, they kick out and beat the shit out of them. Boom, we move on.
yeah, even so. And the thing is too, I think this was in the complete wrong spot on this card. Because after this, they tried stacking the deck almost in a way similar to like one of the larger New Japan shows where all your important stuff is at the top of the card. I mean, and that's a structural thing, different parts of the world. But this show needed some cooldowns when we get north on this card. So I'm
Oh yeah.
almost saying, why would this go here and not after the next match or after the cage match? Or I think there needed to be a buffer with some of these more significant matches. Speaking of the Hollywood ending,
I'm gonna go prephrase. This is probably one of my matches of the night.
this is my match of the night,
Yeah,
and I don't think it's very close. And I will gladly admit how wrong I was heading
yeah.
into this.
I'm torn just because this and another match has my favorite wrestler in it right now, so I'm kind of biased towards that one. But this definitely beats that one. So yeah, I would say this is definitely my match of the night.
I think so many things lend to that as far as just my taste in wrestling. This only went 12 minutes. I don't think it needed to go any longer. I think it was perfect for what it was. And the belief from these two and everything they did, the intensity of everything they did, and obviously a shitload of blood helps. But man, this was a total adrenaline dump, but it didn't feel like a party match at all. Like this felt like I felt the palpable hatred between these two.
This for sure did not just feel like you said like a violence party type of match. This was 100% storytelling. In all honesty, like this is the best story that AEW had going, and like it needed this 12 minute. 12 minutes is perfect. It needed this blow off. I loved everything about it. It was awesome. Tony Storm, uh, juiced.
I think she cut too deep.
Yeah, me and my buddy were watching it, and we both were just screaming. We're like, "Oh, she went too deep." Oh, and that shot that they had, and it was just pouring down her face. I
And
said,
she looked a little like frustrated with it too.
but yeah,
But
she did it at one spot. There was a spot where she said, "I can't see." Like when she first did it, she was sitting on the stairs, and Mariah May was coming around, and the camera got her, and she's like, "I can't see." Like, so all the
I
blood was
mean,
just in her eyes.
look, shit happens.
Yeah,
But
they
man,
pulled it off.
if she ain't gonna live forever because of that,
Oh yeah, they
that was
pulled.
genuinely just. It looked like a crime scene. Some of the stuff on the stage too, like the shotgun dropkick to Luther, I don't feel like is talked about enough.
And Mariah May ate that all on her back too. Like,
True.
God, got that thud. Like from the jump, it was drop kick, and then off the stage, you're diving. Oh, you just went full throttle, and it was great. Every bar of it was awesome. You can tell the hatred they had for each other.
Yeah, and for how many feuds on the show are based in that, I felt like this was really the only one to live up to it. I know there's other points on the card that worked more for other people, but to me, for what they were setting out to do, they couldn't have done it any better. Also, for the ECW heads, we got a Taipei deathmatch reference
That
with the taped up broken glass.
that part, uh, I screamed out Axel and Ian shout out, and
Yes, sir.
and my buddy was like, he looked at me, he's like, oh, this is it. I was like, he's like, this Taipei death match, you know, it was just crazy. I never thought I would see that in an AEW ring. That's awesome.
One of them was watching their tapes, and I appreciate that very much.
And then the what was it? The shoe. Tony was not holding back with that one. Let me tell you that, because uh, man, I loved it. I'm gonna go back and watch it. I think I need to go back and watch this match.
100%. No, to me, this was match of the night, and I think it's such a testament of making the most of your minutes. There was an argument of whether this should have gone on last,
No,
and I have a counter argument that had it gone on last, it probably would have gotten twice the length. And for something like this, I think you're setting yourself up for something to go wrong.
this was it needed to be like short like that, short and sweet, not too short. You know what I'm saying? Not too long. You put it in the main, you're gonna drag it out. It's not gonna be as good. It's not gonna tell that great of a story. You know, you could say, I will say, if you ended the show that way, with how they ended that match, the end,
Yeah,
pan
yeah, the
out,
final
fade to
shot, yeah.
black, perfect. But the way that they shot it anyway, oh, everything about this was perfect. This was, yeah, my match of the night for sure. Now that we're going back and talking about it, yeah, the other one only because like it was my second one. That's just because I'm a spots guy. I'm a spot monkey, so I liked it.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that too. Still got a couple more matches here. I will say though, in the moment watching this show, I probably should have finished the rest of the card the next day because this not being that long of a match, it was a total adrenaline dump. I was exhausted.
Yeah, so like I said, I told you earlier before we got on, watched it live while I was bowling, and then I got home and caught it. So I got to catch this match, everything after, and I watched this and I was like, oh man, there's probably only like a couple more matches, and I was wrong.
No, yeah, you got to the real heart of the issue here because now we're getting into what the big stuff that if you want to call it a triple main event or whatever. That's how they structured it
Well,
at least.
I can tell you, it was two nice matches.
Yeah, yeah. Well, sure, sure. So because of how I was explaining how I was feeling after this match, I went back and watched the next match today, a couple hours ago, which is being Kenny Omega defeats Konosuke Takeshita. So the first title change of the night, the only title change of the night actually. He defeats Takeshita in 28 minutes and 30 seconds. So that's a huge jump. Don't get me
Yeah,
wrong.
I was yawning a couple of parts. I'm not gonna lie, I was tired watching. Like, not taking away from it. I should have watched it like you said the day after.
It was a lot better giving myself some separation, I should say. I'm getting my words
It's
mixed up here.
it was a great match, but because like I said, Kenny and Takesha's on his all star shit right now, so I knew it was gonna be good. We kind of figured what was gonna happen,
Mm-hmm.
so but like you said, it's hard. You're no matter who was in this spot following that Tony Storm match, they definitely should have put the tag match right here.
Yeah, no, I'm with that. I can applaud what they tried to do because this was a real slow burner. But with that runtime, I do think that this fell into too much dead air for me. But I still really like this match. And I think it's because it was very different from what I expected. These guys are athletic freaks. Their last match was just a total bomb fest. But this was a lot more calculated. They had Takeshita working that abdomen. Like they were working the diverticulitis. which is interesting because I'm sure this wasn't the first time, and it's not going to be the last with this Kenny run. And I think it was Kenny really taking Takeshita out of his comfort zone a little bit, trying something else because Takeshita's always going to hit hard. But when you're doing it in this way, it gives Kenny a little bit more to sell. It almost gives him like an Achilles heel, which for somebody who's been presented as God in this promotion essentially, it's a really it's a really interesting dimension added to his character. So things like when he was knocked off of the barricade, he was teasing doing the moonsault. Anybody taking that bump, they'd lay down and they'd get back up. But for Kenny taking that bump, it's like this devastating thing. It's like, oh shit, like this might turn the whole course of the match. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They also did,
There was always that fear of what if,
yeah, and they also did a spot that I really like where they use the binding of the table instead of just doing your normal table spot. And I don't think there's any good way to take that. So credit to them.
Yeah, I was there. When I watched it, I was like, how are they gonna? Oh, okay, that's how they
Yeah,
did that.
they're just doing it. They're just doing it. But down the
I
stretch,
knew this was gonna be hard hitting for sure, though.
yeah, and down the stretch we did get to, I think, something that resembles more of what these two have done in the past. But because of the accumulated damage, Kenny couldn't hit the one winged angel. So his win by just going for that crucifix pin, it felt right. Like he's not the same guy that he was, and he has sustained all this damage, but he still was able to pull through and get the win. So I was just expecting them to go crazy, one winged angel, and we're moving on. But I did appreciate what we got in terms of how different, or at least how much it subverted my own personal expectations.
Yeah, I did like how he told that. Like you said, the story. Kenny can't. He's not the same man he was in 2015. He's old Kenny, and he's had that horrible. Uh, I'm just interested. Like we kind of know what the outcome's gonna be, or I'm interested to see what's gonna happen with what we're gonna discuss later on.
Yeah, me too. And what's interesting with him being international champion is maybe we will see Kenny Omega on the bigger New Japan shows, or maybe he will do something in Mexico with that belt. So it opens up a lot of doorways, and as we'll get into when we talk Dynamite, it feels like he is a major focus of the show for the first time in a while, which is awesome.
Yeah, I'm glad to see him back full time, and hopefully he stays healthy.
Yeah, yeah. So I really like a lot of this match. I think it could have been trimmed down again. Like you could
Yeah,
have easily taken 5 minutes off of this and gave it to the Okada match or something else. Uh, but I know what they were doing. I just think in execution, maybe a little too much dead air. But still, I thought it was a good match.
yeah. I feel like 28 minutes was too much, but in the end, the right man won.
Yeah, yeah. Speaking of 28 minutes, I know you're going to be higher on this one than me. Will Ospreay defeats Kyle Fletcher in the steel cage 28-56.
Hell yeah. I I will say it could have been better. Not gonna lie. I mean, like I said, that Tony Storm match was nothing stopping that. I'm a spot guy, and I knew Will Ospreay was gonna do some crazy shit, and that Spanish Fly was the most terrifying thing I've ever seen in my life. So,
Dude, it was fucked up, man. Like
I was like, they're gonna die. They are legit gonna. One of them's gonna break their neck. But yeah, it could have been better. But it was also very bloody, very very bloody also.
yeah, I kept an open mind to this. And when they did the standoff atop the cage before the match, that's clearly telling you that they're going to wind up there later into the.
Uh, yeah, that was an awesome shot too.
Yeah, yeah, of course. I don't know what was going on with the dubstep before Osprey's entrance, but that's
Yeah,
neither here or there. I was like, dude, just
I did not know what that was all. I said what, and then it wasn't even like doing it. Cut just into his regular music.
yeah,
I
just
was
cut
like,
into Elevate. It's like, dog, just play Elevated. Like,
dog, it's come
what are we
out.
doing
If you're
here?
gonna be an
Yeah,
Assassin's Creed character, just be an Assassin's Creed character. Come on, man, just come on.
yeah. But
I mean,
so
honestly,
this,
it was a typical. To me, it was a typical what you would think a grudge Osprey match in a cage would be.
You know, they presented something a little bit different in the first 10 minutes where Osprey wasn't able to hit everything in his bag, so to speak,
Oh
because
yeah, because of the
they were
cage.
caged in. And then eventually he just started doing it anyways. Uh I will say this though, cuz in New Japan you don't always get people running the blade. Osprey is quite the bleeder. I've seen enough at this point to say, man, that man can bleed. But I thought he did a good job. Like I thought his Crimson Mask looked gnarly. Um, my issue once we got past that, I guess first third of the match, because this thing went a half hour, was that I knew that they were gonna do a bunch of stuff, right? They did all of it. Like it feels like there was three finishes in this match, and none of them were the finish. Because you had Mark Davis running, and they did the United Empire like with the armband, right? That didn't really go anywhere. Then we did the Os Cutter off the cage. Wasn't the finish. Then we got the Styles Clash into the thumbtacks, which like nuts, right? Like this is just insane stuff. Think back to World's End. Osprey beat Fletcher with just a plain old Styles Clash into thumbtacks, not the finish. Spanish Fly off the cage. I think if you just pinned him after that, I would have been just like, all right, cool. And then they still did like Fletcher still had it in him to get up, at least for a hidden blade. I can't knock the risks taken and just some of the insanity that went on, but I think it got a little too convoluted, especially when the whole point of the cage was for nobody to run in and Mark Davis just walks right up with some bolt cutters, right?
And then blades instantly.
Yeah. Yeah, right, right.
He's
And
I'm joining the party. Gig, gig,
yeah,
gig, gig.
and it made me think of if you think back to All Out, Nana put the weapons in before the cage came down. I'm like, well, if you want to get stuff in there, it's clear that AEW has ways of doing something similar to where you're not really undermining the gimmick of just having Walter right up with bolt cutters. You know what I mean? But yeah, I think my overall issue is that whenever Osprey and Fletcher wrestle each other, it's just always going to lean into what I was talking about last time, where the most dangerous and coolest things in the match ultimately aren't going to be the payoff, and they'll feel a little bit diminished. Unfortunately, I felt that way about this one too. So I'll just respectfully say, hey, I understand all the love towards this match. And there's always going to be some things from a critical point of view that will bother me, but I'm not gonna like hate on it. Like, you know what I mean? It's fine.
Yeah, like I said, I'm biased because Will Ospreay's one of my favorite wrestlers, and I liked it. But like I said, I did say I was hoping Fletcher would win this match, though. I figured he wouldn't. But hey, uh, but either way, I don't think it's gonna make Fletcher look bad because it made him look strong. Doing he could, kicking out of the Styles Clash and all that, and
He kicked out of everything. I mean,
yeah,
if you know
so
what I mean.
yeah,
Like
so
he
like
had it in him
they said
to
they said, you know what, kid, figure it out. You'll kick out it, put the Rockets to him. But uh, I'm excited to see what Fletcher does from here.
yeah, because he was not on TV. I'm I want to see where both of these guys go in completely opposite directions of each other. Because to reiterate what I was talking about last week, they've built Fletcher up as something else completely different from when he's in these Osprey matches. So I just want to see him work with other people at this point.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I can't wait to get him away from the Don Callis family and see because it's. Well, we'll get to it on Dynamite. We'll.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I'm with you on just let's see what happens next. I think that this feud needed to just we're gonna leave it in the cage and move on. Do you want to talk about this main event?
Oh, brother, this guy stinks. Uh, it was. What was this?
Listed on Cage Match as John Moxley successfully defending against Christian Cage and Cope in 26:32. Now I'm not gonna sit here and defend this, but what I will say is that there's a whole bunch of hyperbole surrounding this show, being saying greatest AEW show ever, greatest cage match ever, et cetera, et cetera. And a lot of people are pointing to this as being their worst main event ever. I don't think it's that terrible. I think that this is pretty much just like a subpar TV main event that you inflated with time.
This was a Raw main event from back in like whatever 2010, whenever they were both there. I don't know, but like I I don't I this match sucked. I can't even like I don't know.
Yeah, you no notes, no
Yeah,
notes.
I have
Just didn't
nothing.
like it.
I literally have literally in my phone put this match sucked. Move on. That's all I put because there was
Which
nothing to write home about because Christian, you wasted the Christian thing.
yeah, completely. So I'll throw some things out here, just some food for thought. So apparently Tony Khan just has the pen to himself, like now, at least in the turn of the year. My brother was telling me about this. That he's just taking creative for himself. And if you trace everything back to when they did this whole contract thing, this plus the swerve thing at the end of the show, it just felt like AEW throwing their hands up, being like, "Sorry guys."
Yeah, we don't know what we did. Sorry,
Yeah, so
because
this is more of a housekeeping thing. Like, just get the contract out of the equation, get
well,
this thing back on track.
no. And then you would think, they'll figure it out. But on Dynamite, it gets worse.
Yeah,
It gets way worse on Dynamite, but we'll get to that. Yeah, we
yeah,
could just jump right into that because there ain't nothing else to talk about there. Oh,
yeah. No,
Swerve
that was
jumps on him. That's it.
yeah, that was the end of Revolution. Overall, I thought it was a pretty good show. I just think the main thing going against it was its pacing. Because I'm not opposed to the idea of doing less matches with more time, but I also think that if you're going to do less matches, maybe don't always do a 4 hour show.
Yeah, that's my one. Honestly, that's my one gripe, I guess you could say, about AEW pay-per-views. Yeah, they're like 4 hours long, but if they're paced well, it doesn't feel like a 4 hour show. But 9 times out of 10, like a 4 hour show is too long for me anyway. But like,
Yeah,
unless I'm there, if I'm there, I feel even then it's still pushing it. But if it's paced well, it's great. But this was not paced well. Like that tag match was way out of place. That main event was shouldn't have been there.
that was dead on arrival to begin with, man.
Yeah,
Like,
like that had no strong back, and then oh god, we'll get into it, but we're getting it again.
sure, sure. I will say though, yeah, AEW has a certain standard with these pay-per-views where even if you don't love the whole show, you'll probably still find something to really like. And there was quite a few things on this where I'm just like, yeah, I like this, even if I don't think this was on the level of some of their better efforts or even some of the past revolutions from the last couple of years. But not a bad show by any means, in my opinion, even if it did fizzle out at the end. But we get into TV, and yeah, we could just start there. They are doing this match again. I'm just gonna throw this out there: Edge versus Moxley. I think it always should have been a TV defense.
For sure. Yeah, Co-
Maybe this was never a thing made, like never a thing for him. I don't think.
yeah, he's a. I can see what you're saying. That TV main event, TV, because we're gonna get that, and that's annoying to me. But anyway, uh, yeah, I was never big on Edge. Sorry, Cope coming to AEW. To be all honest, I wasn't big like when they signed or when he showed up. I just was like, oh, okay, whatever. Like not I hate him. It's not that I hate him. It's not that I don't. I just like all right, shrug my shoulder because it's not for me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and that's fine. And I thought his run initially was pretty harmless.
Yeah, like it did no harm, no foul. It was just I didn't I didn't care either way. You know what I'm saying? Like I there was people that liked it, and I was happy for them because they liked it.
Yeah, and I'm just like, all right, whatever. Like, you know what I mean? But I just don't understand why he needed to be protected the way he was in this match, which clearly they protected him so we get the rematch. I'm just like, this does not need two matches. It always should have just been like if this was the title match in the first Dynamite on Max, I'd be like, okay, I could see that. Moxley and Cope in a street fight. You know it's gonna be overbooked. You know the Death Riders are coming back, and that's it. This did
You
not
know,
need three. This did not need a 3 month build. This did
and
not need two
now
matches. Yeah,
we just fast forward, or we just do it this Wednesday.
and it really bothers me too that so much of this is falling on Moxley because, like we said,
Yeah, this is all his writing. This is all booking. I don't know,
yeah,
like Mox is doing whenever the company is in a like quote unquote down state. Mox is always the belt guy. They put the belt on Mox, it gets him right back up. Like they know if the formula works, keep going with it. So, but now all of us like the booking is just off now. I don't.
yeah, and it's like people are acting like he hasn't done anything great in a while, but in this title run alone, it's like I love the Danielson match. I love the Orange Cassidy match. And then if you want to even talk like this year, I thought the Hobbs match back in January was pretty good.
Yeah, he
Like
hasn't put
he's
out
still
bad
John
matches.
Moxley. Like
Yeah,
he's still
he's
John Moxley. Don't
at
act
the
like he's
at the
the
end of the day,
the
still John Moxley. He's still gonna go out there do his thing, and but oh man, I just wish. I don't know. I just wish the booking was better for this.
Me too, man, cuz if this had a more solid main event, I would probably look on the main event didn't ruin the show for me by any means.
Absolutely not.
But definitely when you leave a show that you pay money for on that market, or maybe you did pay money, maybe you didn't, depending on where you find in your shows.
Yeah,
But you know what I mean.
we don't judge.
End of the big show. You want to go out on a high. Is that definitely wasn't it?
Yeah, you left it all. You left it all in your like your semi main, and then you get to that main, you fizzled out. You should have kept the momentum going, baby. But
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't have a shadow of a doubt that they'll figure it out. Like I'm still holding hope. I don't care, man. I'm enjoying what I'm seeing.
yeah. And we'll now we're gonna talk TV. I think heading into Dynasty, we'll have a really good idea of where we're at. I said after this show, we're gonna start seeing the pieces falling into play, which we are. I think after Dynasty, we'll know what the road to the stadium's looking like. So this TV opened with a Kenny promo, and he was just getting the hero's welcome. People are giving him flowers and chocolates and shit. And just like, hey, good for him. That's why I said he comes out here, cuts this promo, and then this is a tournament show. And like I said, it feels like they've refocused on Kenny Omega for Dynamite, and it's so nice that it's him and not the Elite because I feel like when he was on the top of the card last, it was very much the Elite. But I'm cool with
Yeah.
this Kenny Omega solo run outside of that. And I'm excited for this first defense. Before we get into the tournament matches though, man, this first hour was weird. Like in my opinion. It started with the ops in a enhancement talent squash.
Yeah, I literally, I'm not even kidding you. I went out and got some. I went to the kitchen, got some food. I came back. The match was like done. So I didn't even get to see much of it. But I fuck with the ops. Hard name, three badasses. I'm good with that.
I mean, dude, if Samoa Joe's your op, like you're done. You're
Oh, you're
cooked.
done, bro. And
Yeah.
I like the different color towels they got. It's awesome. It's hard.
Yeah, I mean I like the faction. It's just like this Dynamite's pretty deliberate with what goes first as far as the match.
Yeah, usually they start off with a hot banger, like or like a pro. Like they did the Kenny promo. They usually start like something hot right afterward.
Something you can really sink your teeth into. It gets time. So it was
Yeah,
weird to see like an enhancement talent squash going first. The only explanation I could think of is that Shibata's in the tournament. They teased Shibata Kenny. I don't think he's gonna win the tournament, but I'm trying to think if they wrestled, and if they did, it had to be like at the latest 2016.
I got cage match right now, so let me see. Uh,
I would say outside shot 2016 G1, and I'm not even sure that happened. Night 12 of the G1 in 2016. So yeah,
yeah,
that was with my gut. That's what happened. That's their only singles match. But I think why they laid it out like this, not defending it, because I still think it's a strange choice. Shibata stare down to Kenny. Shibata's wrestling Ricochet. They run a Ricochet promo after this match. So I think it's just more to uh
build
build
the
the
turn.
stakes,
Yeah,
yeah,
about to say
of
build the
this
tournament.
tournament. Yeah. After that, it was the like half lucha tag. It was Dralistico and Brian Cage against Hologram and Powerhouse. Very disjointed match, but it made Hologram look like $1 million.
Oh boy, did not want to sell for Hobbs. Let me tell you that right now. He said, I ain't doing that. Uh, yeah, Jalistico, that was his name, right? But yeah, we're going to get a lot of people on TV match. Like a good WCW, like, opener match, in all honesty.
Sure. I looked at because this show was in Fresno. I don't know my California geography very well. This is pretty much like in the middle of the state though, and Hobbs and Cage are like Northern California guys.
Yeah, I think Hobbs is from, like, Sacktown.
Yeah, Bay Area.
Yeah,
Or
so
no, I
yeah.
think he's from Oakland.
Yeah,
But
Oakland. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
so I was also thinking, maybe, get the California guys on the card, keep keep presenting hologram, which I'm like, okay, fine. But I was like, again, this was just a weird match. But then we settled in with the Beast Mortos against the debuting Speedball Mike Bailey.
Yeah, I loved every. Like, yo, I love Speedball. Loved it. His new theme, awesome. I don't know. It sounded like a nightclub or just.
It's gonna grow on me because knowing AEW's reputation of not being afraid to shell out for licensed music, I really wanted to hear Brass Monkey.
Oh, yeah, I would. But we're gonna hear it one time. I guarantee we're gonna hear it. If they're gonna build them up, we're gonna get it one time, my friend.
I thought this was not only a good showcase match, but it wasn't just running through his signature spots. They still gave Mortos quite a bit. Unfortunately, a lot of that was in the picture-in-picture break.
And I will say, like you said, they didn't burn through all of Speedball's artillery yet. He's still got so much more to show, and he's not even. That wasn't even like half his move set right there.
I'm surprised he didn't win with the Ultimate Weapon though,
It, me and my buddy were talking about, but we were like, oh, he didn't use the ultimate weapon, but saved
because
it,
I
I guess.
I want to throw this out there. I don't know about you, but I feel like he's winning this tournament.
I don't think he's winning the tournament.
Okay, we'll talk about that then. Because in my opinion, I was thinking if he were to debut, get the Kenny match. I mean, that's like not a. He's not gonna hurt himself by losing to Kenny Omega, right? But I think that almost writes itself to where if you're building up the Ultimate Weapon and you're landing on somebody's stomach with your knees, that's like something Kenny has no answer for.
True.
If we're working the diverticulitis, so I almost thought, okay, I could see it, and then they didn't go in that direction. But it was still a strong showcase. I think he fits right in. I just like we were talking about last week. I just don't want him to get lost in the shuffle. But I think he will continue to be presented very strong, and I think he'll have a lot to do with this roster.
Yeah. Then now that you said that, I can kind of see maybe Speedball. The only reason I don't see Speedball is because, like we talked about last week, it's in Philly. Ricochet's in the match, and you gotta do that. You're doing a 4-way at the end to get to the match. You're gonna have Speedball in the match. He's not gonna take the pin. You're still gonna protect him. So
For sure, for sure, for
yeah,
sure.
there's a lot of ways I can go with it. So
Yeah, yeah, 100%. Amongst these matches, I should say, did get a Tony Storm promo.
I feel like it was very freestyled. Like
Yeah,
because she kept pausing a lot.
I'm like, all right. I'm like, all right, Tone.
Eh,
But
speed it up.
Megan Bain ran in though, so we have a direction for her.
Yeah, they were showcasing Megan Bain a lot in this episode, actually.
Yeah, she had multiple segments
Yeah,
in this one,
and I'm not
which
mad about it because I like Megan Bain. So
yeah, me too. And I'm almost wondering, like, we could just talk about this. I mean, the Willow Penelope Ford match, I don't have much to say on. I mean, obviously that the
other than
chair
the end,
shot,
yeah, other than the
the
ending,
chair shot's going around. I mean, it's like, yeah, you gotta lay in, but I'm not gonna sit here and complain about it. It's like, was it bad? Yes, but it's like, whatever. Like, move on. You gotta lay in, especially when AEW in the past has gimmicked their steel chairs. But I'm not just gonna be like one of those outrage pocket. Oh, you didn't, It's like, all right. But Megan Bain then ran in on stat, so I'm almost wondering if you're not gonna fold that whole TV feud into this title scene, and you have like a 3-way or a 4-way at the pay-per-view.
yeah, I just kind of I gotta watch more Megan Bain matches because I only know of her from like GCW. To be 1,000% honest.
I watched her Stardom run as it happened, which was hit or miss, all things considered. But when she hit, she hit. Like what she brings, not a lot of people do.
Yeah,
So I think
I
they
like
could
her
take
look.
advantage of that.
She
Yeah,
looks like a
she's
million bucks. So
and she's a beast. I mean, her spirit. She's an F5. Like she. I think they have something with her. So I'm almost wondering if it's a little too soon for her to lose. So that's why I'm like, maybe if they fold this in and you have a multi-person match, that's how you get around that.
yeah, same thing. Same thing they're kind of doing with Mike Bailey or with Speedball right now. Putting him
Sure.
in that
Yeah.
4-way just in case he doesn't. Yeah, makes more sense
Yeah.
that way. Good for business.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then we
Next on
have.
the card, I mean, it was the weekly Max Caster Squash, which we're big fans of.
Oh, I loved it. I was just
I
waiting
think
We're gonna get the Josh Alexander one. We're gonna get it eventually. I think.
you know what? That's actually probably what will happen. And I saw some complaints about Takeshita being in this spot, but it makes sense. He's pissed off. He just lost his belt.
He went. Yeah, it's an easy win. Hey, if
Yeah.
I'm Takesha, I'm farming wins every week against Caster to get my title shot back. All right.
I thought he was gonna take a break from AEW, but hey, I'm not gonna complain. You know,
Yeah, I thought he was gonna do the New Japan run maybe.
I'm thinking. I mean, Dynasty's before the Tanahashi match,
Hmm. Oh, so they got kind of build that up to that, yeah.
and like New Japan Cup's going on right now, so there isn't much for him to
To
do
do
unless he,
true.
he unless he defends his title at the final.
Uh,
So,
Makes
which
sense.
I don't think that card has been announced yet. Other than there's a Goto defense. It's not on the final. It's on one of the it's on one of the tour dates. I believe it's night 7. He's defending against Yuji Nagata, but nothing for Takeshita quite yet. But I'm like, it's a weird time for him to be over there and doing title defense as well. There's a singles tournament going on, so maybe that's what they're going to keep him around for the dynasty cycle, and then he'll do an extended run abroad. I'm trying to think if there is anything. I'm getting my promos mixed up here as far as sequencing. We did get the big Hangman MJF follow up, and there was an MJF promo in ring. That's what happened first. Is it just me, or did he just absolutely stay too long in the spray tan booth?
Oh yeah, he looked ridiculous, brother. Uh, I this is I kept having audio issues. I don't know if it was my end or like maybe if it was like
The
the
broadcast.
broadcast. I was having mad audio issues during this promo.
I mean, until MVP came out, it was pretty much just usual MJF stuff.
And just normal like shut up, I'm the best, yada yada yada.
Yeah, like
Like cuss word, yeah, type of
he
thing.
was kind of playing it off about the loss. I'm almost wondering if this was all intentional. Like maybe he's overcompensating for a lot of things. What? How do you feel about this MVP angle?
I'm confused. I'm but interested, I guess, to see it's something different. I mean, I don't. I'm gonna hold off judgment until I see some more, I guess.
You can make the joke, oh, MVP's there to help him with his promos, but I I don't really know. Like,
Yeah,
yeah, that's a
I'm
wait and
indifferent.
see.
Yeah, so wait, I it was one thing. It was one. I was like, I gotta see more. Like, I don't. It was weird, but okay. I guess I'll withhold judgment until I see what else is going on.
Also, insane pull here from MVP. He mentioned he was when he met MJF, he was driving him to a Bad Brains documentary shoot.
Okay,
So, do you know MVP's like a hardcore head?
I did not know that.
So on his Blue Sky, he posted a photo of him with some vocalist. I can't think off the top of my head. And then he just starts talking with people about like his love for the genre, and he was like talking about Hatebreed and Bane and shit. And I'm just like, man, I never knew that.
That's crazy. I did not know he was into that. That's awesome.
Dude, he's like tapped all the way in on this stuff.
Shut
Which
up.
again, for those if you're listening for the first time, we're from that part of the music world, like 219 music scene. So, uh hearing Bad Brains on Dynamite, not on my bingo card. for sure. But I
Yeah.
don't really know what to do with this yet either. I do wonder if Hangman's gonna beat him again, then he's gonna cash in the card
Yeah, I can see that.
because he's
Uh,
going to need help if he takes another major loss.
yeah, I was just so confused. Like, but like I said, I'll withhold judgment. I'll see what's up.
So then, on that note, with the interaction backstage, it's clear that we're gonna do this again. But I can't help but think like Hangman even said like, "Yo, you're gonna light me on fire," but I didn't believe you were gonna do it. So they acknowledge that, but the energy still feels a little bit out of order for me.
Yeah, I don't. What kind of match do you think they're gonna blow up? They're gonna have another match or something, right? Obviously, is what they're leading to. Uh, so like I said, I think I don't know, dog collar maybe something crazy, lights out, uh,
Yeah, say Texas Death Match I like
at
fits.
all in Texas Death,
I
maybe
could even see that being they're gonna do
Dynasty.
the second match at Dynasty and the blow off will be at Double or Nothing.
Yeah, we do have Double or Nothing in between all that too. Jeez, they need to stop promoting All In. That's so far away. Let's focus in the now, guys. Come on.
Well,
I mean,
on that topic, Osprey called a shot.
yeah,
That
that's
was the
what
other promo.
I wanted to get to this when I
Yeah,
said that everything was sounded so jumbled with the Moxley stuff because now you got Osprey calling his shot for June or
July.
July.
It's like
So it's
mid July.
yeah, like I was like, guys, let's build, let's get there. But okay, let's do it. Let's just, and that's how it should be. In all honesty, is everyone should say what they're gonna do. Just they're gonna go for the title. That's what the main goal is. I get it. So, all right, we'll see what's popping with that.
It
Because
is
it's
interesting that they are that he's declared for the Owen Hart tournament this early. That morning, they announced TV in Hoffman Estates.
so
So
far
I'm
away.
wondering, yeah, I'll give you my thoughts on that. But I'm almost wondering if that's not going to be if mid-May is not when this tournament's going to start. So I think that's where they're lining things up because last year I believe the tournament started at Forbidden Door with Brian and Shingo, but then the TV after that was in Chicago where they did a couple tournament matches for both the men and women. So I'm wondering, just because, like I said, Tony Khan says, well, we did it in this city last year. We're going to do it again this year. So I'm almost wondering if that May 14th TV is not when the Owen will officially start. As far as attending, uh, 2 hours for a TV is a big ask, like to drive
On a Wednesday.
on a weeknight too. Yeah.
And
So,
so it's gonna be a big no for me, dog. I don't
yeah,
like.
yeah, I
I
might
go
have
out
to
there for
pass.
pay-per-views. I'll go out there for pay-per-views.
Same.
But TV, it has to be at Win Trust or bust, man. Like I like Win Trust
I'm
is
with you.
super close. Come on, man.
Yeah, it's like right from where we're
Yeah,
coming from. It's like right off the highway, and then it's like there's entry access through the garage. Like it's very convenient. Hoffman is not. I was very confused by that, but I'm almost thinking because they're doing the New Japan show, the month before at Wintrust that they're just doing it there,
yeah. Because I think they're like there's like some like unwritten rule where
like an embargo or something.
you can't within like some certain amount of months you can't wrestle the same venue or something like that.
Yeah, no, I could see that. So yeah, because I didn't talk to you about that either, because that was announced yesterday morning, or Wednesday morning.
Yeah, my buddy Josh told me that yesterday. He goes, yeah, they're coming to Hoffman Estates, and I looked at him and I shook my head. No, I ain't doing that.
Because I was looking at the calendar thinking about this before the TV was even announced. The pay per view schedule is all different this year, where Forbidden Door is in August, it's after the stadium show. And I'm like, man, when the hell are they going to book all out? Or if we're gonna get a summer show, something along those lines. And I think they're gonna announce all that at that show, like they did in Phoenix, where they did Dynamite in Phoenix. They announced Double or Nothing in Phoenix. So we'll wait and see. But that was definitely a weird one as far as just time, location, etc. If I'm not forgetting anything else, main event of the show, Orange Cassidy defeats Hechicero in 10 minutes. And I like these two a lot. Watched a ton of Hechicero last year. I think he's one of the best
Yeah,
on the planet
I'm a
right
big
now.
Hechicero guy.
This just felt like it was cut for time.
Yeah, it was very rushed.
Yeah.
Because when it got on, when the match finally first started, it was 9 o'clock on the dot.
So this was all overrun.
Yeah, this was all over. I believe, if
Okay.
not, it was that because when I looked at the clock, it was 9, and they said they've allowed us to go over, and I said that match just started. It seems like, and it's 9 o'clock.
Did something go long on this show? It had to be it had to be the promos because Osprey rambled for a while about his wife and her being pissed about the cage dive, and then like we said, Tony was rambling a bit about God knows what. So that must have just been time mismanagement because this did feel really rushed. I like before the first break, they're doing the feeling out process, a lot of the your standard Orange Cassidy fare with the hands in the pockets and all that. And then when I felt like when they came from break, like they both just they flipped the switch and got to business. But I just felt a little shorted by this one, considering like these are two of my favorite wrestlers right now.
Yeah. Uh. Or orange one with roll up, right? With the or my tweaking.
It wasn't like a normal finish.
Yeah, it was just really weird, rushed, and I was in and out. I was dealing with my kid on this one, but I enjoyed it. Like I said, I love Orange Cassidy. I love Hechicero. I want to see more, but like you said, it's pressed for time probably, and just had to rush through it. I'm very interested. Now that leaves Speedball and Orange going into the Fatal Four, and we got two more matches coming up to lead the other two, and I got Mark Davis and Mark Briscoe is what I'm looking at on this card. Um,
Yeah,
uh,
it's them on Saturday, and then Shibata Ricochet as well.
okay, Shibata. So my thought process is we're gonna have Ricochet and man, I want to say Mark Davis, but I don't know. I'm thinking they're gonna put Briscoe in.
Unfortunately, they don't have a problem with having Mark Briscoe eat the pin.
That's what I was saying. I feel like he would be the pinfall guy. Either way, Briscoe or Davis is gonna be the pinfall guy. So,
Yeah,
I
I can see
mean,
that.
either way, we're so. But that I'm stoked to see Briscoe and Davis because they're gonna be beating the shit out of each other. So.
Oh yeah, and like again, I have to go back and watch quite a few Briscoe TV matches from this year specifically, but he's quietly one of the best TV wrestlers they have right now. Like you
Oh
could
yeah.
put him in anything and he's going to shine. Mark Davis in this spot, I'm curious to see. I was a big Aussie Open guy historically, so I want to see what they do with him now because he was a singles guy before they formed that tag team.
Yeah.
So, and
Uh,
New Japan were playing with that idea a little bit as well with his New Japan Cup run in 2023.
yeah. Big. I'm a big UE guy. Also, like, and seeing I was happy when Davis came back. He got hurt. I was like, damn, came back again. Now that I think about it, I honestly like, man, either he loses this match or he gets into the fatal four way and eats the pin. But that's gonna start the other downfall of him. Like, I think breaking away from. I think because they still tease it. Him breaking away from the Don Callis family. But then what do you do with him after that, though? I guess is the
I
natural
mean, I mean,
question.
unless he starts a faction with somebody else, or if we eventually get an Aussie Open reunion, which I wouldn't mind if even if they are heels, because I mean Fletcher's a completely different wrestler now.
Oh yeah, Fletcher's on another level, like
I
different
mean,
than what he was.
stylistically too. So I would be curious. I am curious to see what they do with him in that regard. But I'm with you. I do think it will be Mark Briscoe and Ricochet. And you have Ricochet going to Philly.
Yeah, I got Ricochet going to him and Kenny. Uh, see, but does he eat two losses though? Yeah, he does. Or something happens, some fuckery happens or something. But I just feel like it could, or he, oh man, see,
It's an
because
interesting one because like I
are
really don't know what they do
are we
in that
get
case.
are we getting Swerve Mox at Dynasty?
Yes,
Okay, Ricochet's gonna cost Swerve the title.
I
Yeah.
do think that that's gonna
So
happen for sure.
so something happens where like Swerve costs Ricochet or something, then Ricochet costs Swerve back like a receipt maybe something along those lines or
Yeah,
something
I think we're
or
getting a
yeah
third. I think we're getting a third match with them at Double or Nothing.
yeah for
I
sure.
don't think it'll be for a championship though. Now with how the landscape's
No,
playing out, and boy, I'm gonna stay off the internet when Moxley beats Swerve because that is going to be nasty.
well, yeah, that's gonna be something. I try to
But
stay off
that
the
was
internet anyway after pay per
yeah.
views.
I gotta stay off my phone in general, but human condition, whatnot. I'm I don't feel too bad about where AEW's at going forward now that we have some answers. I do think that there still needs to be some housekeeping in the main event scene. We'll see where we're at next week after Moxley Cope. Uh, and is that Fatal 4-Way going to happen next week?
I believe so. I believe it said it
Okay.
was next week.
Then yeah, we'll have a lot more clarity going forward. So
I hope we have a lot more clarity with the Cope thing. I'll tell you
oh yeah,
that.
I think if it doesn't splinter off into Edge and
I
Christian again, I think it's gonna
that's
splinter off
that
into
yeah
the
that's they're setting that up like they're t-balling that for us like and then I feel like they do that. Nick Wayne turns, Edge wins, boom boom boom, or Cope. I keep calling him Edge. Cope wins.
I still call him Edge. It's whatever. But unfortunately, I also think we're going to get Jay White versus Cope, which I don't think needs to happen.
Not
But
at all.
they've
Nope.
set it up with the briefcase shot. Regardless, overall, not a terrible episode of Dynamite. It just felt
It was filler.
it was a filler show. But the main takeaways for me though is the Speedball debut, a good but a match that left me wanting a lot more with Hechicero and Orange, and that all ties into the rest of the tournament. So that was all Elite Wrestling this week. Did you watch anything else this week?
I watched Raw.
What do you think of the main event?
It could have been way better than what I wanted more. I wanted more out of it. I should say.
So
Uh,
I did tune in for the cage match. Uh, my brother wasn't feeling too good on Monday, so we watched it on Tuesday. Could I run something by you? Because I want to know your thoughts.
go right ahead, my brother.
So I want to really question where Seth is at this point. Not necessarily like I mean, look, he's a very polarizing figure between wrestling fans. But this one felt a lot like the debut on Netflix to where it went right into finisher spam. And with the post match angle, it's clear that Paul Heyman had his fingerprints all over this. It's the Paul Heyman match in WWE. It's what he was doing with Brock and Sense. But then I start thinking that's how the Seth Drew match at Mania was. And so now I'm like, how long has it like if Paul Heyman's working on these Seth matches, how long has this been going on? I don't really care to go back and find out.
Me either.
But it's almost like, man, like I'm always gonna see what Punk's doing. But this far into the run, I've come to this conclusion. With CM Punk and WWE at the stage, we are going to get CM Punk matches and matches that CM Punk is happened to be in. And this felt like the latter to me. This did not feel like Punk and Drew in the cage. This did not feel like even Punk versus Sammy from February, which I really love that match. So yeah, I was a little disappointed by this too. This did not do much for me.
Yeah. So the whole Raw was very, not gonna say it was a bad show because it wasn't. A lot of filler, a lot of elimination, or well, yeah, a lot of filler going into Mania season, chamber stuff. Uh, I was stoked for this match, and I was like, man, it's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be. They're building this up like it's gonna be the best thing, and it wasn't. And then I, I looked at I looked at my buddy Josh, who's here again, chilling. Uh, I looked at him. I said, man, I have a feeling. I think I know what might happen, but it. What I said was happened was I thought Roman was gonna come and spear one of them through the cage, and cause like Seth to win, and that's what's gonna cause Punk to be mad, but the way they did it here was a lot different.
Yeah, so they were playing with the cage door a lot, and I saw a take where you could justify them just trying to end the match because neither of them wanted to escape. They wanted to win decisively. But with the way they did it, it's like, yo, Seth finally gets the big win over Punk, and it's completely overshadowed by Roman, which is kind of Seth Rollins' story of his career in WWE, which I thought was kind of funny.
Yeah, I feel like that was good writing though, in a sense,
Yeah,
because like he got overshadowed by Roman again.
again,
Yeah,
and now Punk has the issue because go back to the Rumble, Punk was just, he just dumped him out.
yeah,
What do you think about this three-way? Like, do you think this is gonna main event night one?
uh, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I would assume. Ah, man, maybe. Yeah, because like we already talked about, ain't no way in God's green earth is Jey Uso touching that main event scene. So yeah, I would say I would go on. I would say yeah, probably main event night one.
That was significant to me for a while as far as just like, man, like I want Punk just to have it. It's like the last thing he needs to do. I'm just more relieved that he's not wrestling Logan Paul at his first Mania in like 12
That
years.
was my fear because that's where I thought they were going with that, and I'm glad that's not the way they went.
Yeah,
Because
I think we're gonna unfortunately get that match at some point, but I'm just glad that it wasn't this. I think this first Mania for Punk, it should be something treated as a big deal, at least.
it's gonna leading up to it, it's just gonna be the story build up to this is gonna be good. I think so.
Oh, dude, he's gonna. I can't wait to see him with a live mic, which apparently is gonna be Monday in the middle of the day because they are in Brussels, in Belgium, and it'll be broadcasted live worldwide. A lot riding on that show because it will be Cena's first appearance since turning heel, and I'm almost like, man, I might just because I'm home. I'm home during the day, so I'm like, man, I might just throw on Raw at 2 p.m. and just go about my day.
I get home at 4. I'm gonna pop it all right when I get home.
Fair enough. We'll have a lot to talk about that next week. Other than that, the DPW card is out. I think we should save the preview for that for next week.
Yeah, we can do all that. This was a pretty heavy show here with the pay per view, Dynamite, a little bit of Raw. We covered a lot today.
Yeah, yeah. Well, if you got this far into the pod, thank you so much. Chris, thank you for being here and talking wrestling. It is always a good time. You could find us on our socials. All my stuff, wrestling centric, is at Outer Stevon. And Chris, if I'm not mistaken, your Twitter is at The Loserweight.
Is that the loser weight, or you can just type in Limp Biscuits and Gravy. You can find me. Come
Limp
holler at your
Biscuits and
boy.
Gravy. Those will be included in the description on Spotify. And I got some feedback from friends asking where the YouTube uploads were. So by now you should be able to listen to this on there as well. Thank you for all the love on the first episode from friends of the show. And we will talk to you again next week after we see John Cena as a heel with a microphone for the first time.
Can't wait.
Take care of yourselves, and thanks for listening.
See ya.